Hey guys, Greg and Ryan here, back for another breakdown. Today we have the penultimate episode of Season 10, Episode 9. It is called Blue Moon.
Of course. Spoiler warning, if you haven't seen this episode yet, get out of here, go watch it, and then come on back so we can talk about it. Let's do this. All right, Ryan. Right from the jump, we're thrown straight into the action in 1954 in the White House as Eisenhower, he is threatened, blackmailed by these aliens to sign this treaty or alliance or whatever it's going to be. But this is just something that the aliens want to use against him later, obviously, with his signature against the American people or the world in general, to let them know that he signed them away or whatever. So it's not looking good for anyone right now, other than the aliens, of course.
Oh yeah, it's looking fine for them. They're a little sneaky going behind his back in terms of having the opportunity to blackmail him in the future, right? Because literally they could do this by force if they wanted to, but from what they say, but they want to have evidence of an agreement with an American president, kind of like the destruction of the Western civilization. If anything, really, the public found out about this, right? That they allowed all this stuff to happen. The aliens also are offering, technology, the exchange of technology, so that the Russians don't get it. The Americans would have global dominance at a time when heightened tensions between the Soviet Union and the America. But what really puts Eisenhower over the edge here is when they
got his wife, they got the first lady. Yeah.
He's not completely he's against it, right? Giving up innocent Americans. But as soon as it comes to his wife that might die in front of him, then he just signs it immediately.
My birthday party. So nice of you all to come.
So he signs the contract, and it cuts to 3 years later, and it's nearly 300 people have gone missing, or have, of course, been beamed up, as we see with the footage we get, the Nixon showing Eisenhower, and it's something to behold. I love this. I'm just going to say it now because it feels like Ryan Murphy and crew just said, you know what? It. Let's give fans what they want. Let's just give them the alien. Just do it. Let's go for it. And this whole episode felt like, let's give them what they want. And, well, I'm happy.
Yeah, no, I agree, Greg. The aliens from Asylum, it was kind of like a little bit of a footnote to the whole season. Like, you're like, what are they doing here? It's like a supernatural element that you didn't really know what was going on. But here it's like, okay, they're just going to lean into it. We're gonna talk about alien conspiracies that have been a part of pop culture for decades and decades and decades. Now we're going to go lean into it and show the AHS version of all those conspiracy theories. So if you're into aliens, this is like a ton of fun to kind of watch the origins of how they came to Earth and what it meant, kind of like the backdoor dealings with them and what it meant for the human race.
And now I want a season that's just all conspiracy theories after this. Just give it to me. Let's do it. I am the only person who probably wants that, but sure.
Now, Greg, the other thing this episode features is, of course, the return of Cody Fern, who has been a mainstay for the last few years on American Horror Story and American Horror Stories. Good to see him back in the mix here. Today, in this episode, he was playing Valiant Thor, who is a liaison between the aliens and the humans, half android, I think, or some type of creation that basically is there to... He has the powers of aliens or some sort of technology that he's able to telepathically control humans. But also he's there for business to kind of broker, the exchange of ideas, communicate with each other, and basically tell them what's about to happen to them.
This felt like a huge throwback, just him showing up, obviously, the day the Earth stood still, with him as a robot. But I got huge Twilight Zone to serve man vibes here from this point going forward. The second he shows up, it just felt like you're right at home with a good old Twilight Zone episode, and I loved it.
We will demonstrate to all interested parties a new and extremely interesting power source.
Now, for those of you who are into conspiracy theories, you definitely recognize the name Valiant Thor. It's been out there. If you do a quick Google search or jump on Reddit like I did for far too long after watching this episode, you'll see his name kind of all over the place. According to a 2001 book, Stranger at the Pentagon by Dr. Frankie Stranges, on March 16, 1957, a person identifying themselves as Valiant Thor came forward, visited the U.S. president and the higher-ups of the U.S. government, including Eisenhower, and there was a meeting. So this is American Horror Story's version of kind of the idea, the legend of such a person coming to America and kind of visiting and having some sort of exchange of ideas with the leadership of America.
Ryan, you called it last week when you thought, is there some connection between Steve Jobs and this whole alien conspiracy here when we saw him in the last episode at Area 51? Yeah, it seems so. It seems like he may have been the puppet, honestly, for Valiant Thor and the aliens when they came down years ago. So sure enough, when Thor opens up that briefcase, what do you see? It's an iPod.
Yeah, and you see like the American leadership like salivating over the idea of having the computing power of, computers then were like the largest rooms, right, at the Pentagon and stuff like that. So like now you have it in the size of your palm. They don't come out and say it's an iPod, but it looks eerily similar to an iPod. But this now makes sense why Steve Jobs, we see him in and out of the facility earlier in the season. But, a lot of fun here, just kind of, hey, here's the exchange of here's the deal. We give you the technology. The Russians don't get it. You get it. Imagine the possibilities. And it kind of shows, it just goes in step with kind of all the insecurities that the Western world had about, other powers kind of emerging. So, if technology was at hand, like they don't want anyone else to get it, they want to take it themselves and then have global dominance over the world. So, it was a lot of fun to say like the aliens gave us this technology. Yes. I do like, Greg, though, the one note that he says that like this will create peace and harmony amongst civilization, and literally all we do nowadays is we're doom scrolling on Twitter and addicted to social media. So I don't know if Valiant Thor, had
what's he talking about? No, he was right. What's he talking about? Facebook, has brought us all together. I don't know what's the problem. It's peace on Earth.
Greg, one thing that I found very effective this episode was how great Neil McDonough, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is doing as Dwight Eisenhower.
Amazing.
Just like with his facial expressions, like even when he's not even speaking, like just like the guilt that he's dealing with the decision-making process here and kind of how he carries himself. And you can see that it's having a horrendous toll on him, being forced into this situation where he has to make a decision that no human being should ever have to make. So I just want to give a shout out to Neil for doing an incredible job. We've seen him in countless TV shows and movies over the years, but it was awesome to get him on American Horror Story in this role.
Easily delivered one of the best performances on AHS. And it's a good timing for you to bring this up now, because at the same time, Sarah Paulson decided to say, you know what, hey, don't forget about me. I'm here. I have shown up now for part 2. Yeah. She has arrived. And as you said earlier, with everything with Eisenhower and the guilt he's going through and just the pain and anguish, that is not the case for the First Lady.
But before we get to what Mamie's doing, Greg, let's talk about those tunnels underneath the White House. There have been like theories, conspiracy theories, rumors about tunnels under the White House that the president can get in and out of, evacuations during a nuclear attack or anything like that, or some sort of assassination attempt on the president, or any national emergencies. Wasn't this featured in one of those movies like Dave, when what's his name was president and he had to sneak in and out of the White House
with Kevin Kline?
Dates? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Greg.
I don't remember.
You know your president movies.
I do. I really, really do. But now I gotta look that up.
I'm pretty sure there was a part where he like sneaks out of the White House to go on a date or two.
That's also in First
movie.
Kid. First Kid does that too. Great movie as well.
But Greg, in this case, because it is American Horror Story, the tunnels are used for something quite different.
Okay, so they probably can't keep doing these experiments under the White House. You gotta find a new spot. So, where is some land that we know of that's being used by the government that no one can get to? Bingo.
Is Area 51.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Also, small note, you can clock 2 nurses. This is an unintentional Easter egg. I'm almost certain of it. But anytime I see 2 nurses on screen, obviously I'm going to go, oh, murder house. There we go.
Greg, back to Mamie Eisenhower. You alluded to this earlier. Let's talk about what the First Lady's up to in this episode. A whole lot of stuff. She's not just bacon fudge in the kitchen. She calls Valiant Thor Val earlier in the episode. A little pet
he's
name
Val.
for the alien. Yeah, he's Val. Excuse you, Val. Then we find out a little bit later that she's literally sleeping with the alien, android, whatever you want to call him. But let's just say that he's talented.
I love Sarah Paulson's lines. Her dialogue
Incredible.
here right after that.
No, it wasn't a nightmare. It was an absolute dream.
Ryan, we move on to 1962, and we're back with Marilyn Monroe. You know what's going to happen next here. It looks like she's loose lips here. She's telling everybody what's going on with the White House and aliens and JFK. Not good. Not a good look, boo.
Yeah, you can't be doing that like on movie sets, right? Like telling secrets that you heard from JFK, some pillow talk that got, that shouldn't have left his mouth in the first place. But he confided in her, and it's not good news for her. Nixon and Ike talk about kind of fixing the problem. Ike obviously is not going to go that route at all, but it's kind of out of his hands too. I mean, we see the power that Nixon has and his influence in the government and kind of shady parts dealings with certain people, and how things can miraculously get done behind the president's back. So, she is found dead. We see the conspiracy, the assassination of Marilyn Monroe made it look like an overdose. Ike realizes what happened behind the scenes.
They just went for it. I was like, oh, we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna say, okay, Nixon did Marilyn Monroe too. He just a clean sweep here with Nixon. He's taking care of all the business apparently when it comes to conspiracies. Area 51, Monroe, of course, JFK, and now what else? What else can we tie Nixon to with one episode to go? I think we got a few more in store. I'm all for it. One thing about Nixon too is he brings up how much he hates Hollywood and he wants it to be burned to the ground. So what happened at the very end of part 1, Red Tide? Hey, there you go.
Another thing Nixon did the following year with Ike, they have to tell Lyndon B. Johnson, who takes over as president after JFK was assassinated in Dallas. They have to basically let Lyndon B. Johnson in on the secret, in on the whole alien thing.
Of course.
Take him to Area 51, show him exactly what's going down. He had no clue what to expect, and his world is completely flipped upside down.
What in ever-loving Christ is this?
Now we're back in present day with Troy, and it's just a normal, nice little... No, he's giving birth to an alien baby. He's in a lot of pain. At this point, I thought, okay, he's going to die any second, but it turns out, no. He will experience no pain, and they're going to do a C-section, an alien future tech C-section, where he doesn't feel a single thing, but he has a connection to the baby. We notice now that there's a human connection, a strong bond to the child. It's not gonna cut it. So unfortunately, they slice its throat, I guess, and toss it into a little pool and send it on out. And that's the way it goes for a lot of the babies that go through there.
Yeah, a couple notes here, Greg, after watching this. Alien pregnancies and labor is a wild thing to watch. Everything was happening like telepathically, right? The communication between them in the room, which is cool to kind of see. Instead of people communicating and talking with their mouths, it was kind of like all up in their brains, like they're just like kind of communicating back and forth.
It's very claustrophobic. You feel it's a little weird. I love it.
Yeah. And the room itself, like physical space that they're in too, creates all that. But also what an aggressive way to terminate an alien baby. I mean, like really, like right in front of the co-parent, like you had to slit its throat and then dunk it in water. Like,
you would
I mean, there's gotta be like a little bit of a calmer way to kind of do this, not so traumatic, and especially when you think that some of these hosts, have been doing this for years, like Calico, and multiple babies per year. What a traumatic way to have to see your offspring Even if it is
AHS.
alien, go
this
through
is
it, you know?
this is where AHS creeps its head up into the story a little bit more. And like, we can't just have it, you put them away somewhere or have a machine that just like disintegrates it quickly in a second. No, it has to be. There's got to be blood. Sorry.
Now, speaking of Calico, Greg, she has been there since 1969. She's been one of the OGs in this facility, and she says she's had like 2 or 3 alien babies like per year. So doing the math, approximately over the course of 52 years being in there, she's given birth to almost like 130 little alien creatures that none of them are perfect yet, right? So that means that it's a lot of death to have to deal with in order to like, in your day-to-day, in your life. I mean, obviously you become numb to it at a certain point, but what a traumatic thing to go through for Calico, and kind of you realize why her mentality is the way it is, and why she's not in any rush to kind of, you can't break out, there's no escape, this is life, this is what it is, and you're just gonna have to get used to it.
And this segues right into another AHS conspiracy, the moon landing. And it's got everything. We have Stanley Kubrick, we have Buzz Aldrin, we have Neil Armstrong, and Calico. So of course, 2 days after Neil and Buzz are apparently in space, Calico finds them at her local bar. Cool. That's just, you would think they would, lay a little bit lower than that. I like how they had the hats on. We're incognito.
They should probably lay low after such a thing went down.
Our faces are all over the planet. They're all over the world right now as they head off to the moon for the first time ever. And they're just, 2 dudes with hats on at a bar. I like that.
I mean, Greg, maybe they had a great happy hour deal there. I mean, you can't really, stay away from the bar at that point, I guess. I don't know. But, I mean, I think this was probably my favorite conspiracy that they touched on, American Horror Story touched on. Just how fun it is, the idea of, and some people actually do believe that, Americans did not go to the moon during this time period.
Yeah, I know plenty of people who are trying to convince me that we did not.
To show your technological strength, your political, the soft power of what your country has to offer, and to show basically that you can make it to the moon and defeat the Russians at the space race like that. I mean, that's huge, obviously. So just gonna see a little backstory of this, gonna to be on the set of the actual moon landing, the back and forth between what really went down with Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong was hysterical. And I like how Calico is just like in the mix with all of this part of history, and kind of just openly talking about it to the present day Ivy Leaguers. Like, everyone in the show has loose lips. It's crazy. No one could keep a secret. And this is how conspiracies kind of, barrel out of control, and everyone has their own kind of twist and version of it.
All right, so now it's time for Cal to deliver his baby. You would think the aliens would have a better, system set up for when people are going through contractions or they're ready to go, because, of course, these two are able to, Cal and Troy are able to just, sneak out of that room, and when he's through pain, he's squinting, and he's just like, he's giving birth. This whole scene, I'm sorry, is just bonkers, and I love it. And I knew it was gonna happen. I knew the second they left that room, and Troy's like, I'm gonna help you. We're gonna do this. We're gonna keep this baby. We're gonna try to. They're dead. I was immediately like, it's time. It's time to go. And of course, it's a nice touch to have them in the moon landing set.
Perfect.
To give birth there. Perfect. We have a C-section without any medication. You need. Okay, I am in a family of nurses and doctors, and baby and delivery, and I was like, I think there's a few things wrong here with this scenario. At least for Cal, it's not going to look good for Cal if Troy's just going to straight up cut him open, and that's exactly what he did. It's AHS, go with it, and we get this awesome, grotesque, alien-like scene. And the second the baby comes out, okay, this little child's gonna eat the shit out of both of these dudes. I was just waiting for it to happen.
That's right, Greg. We get another face hugger moment, which we got earlier in the season. You know what this alien baby reminded me of? It was like spot on Men in Black. Remember when Will Smith's holding the little baby that comes out, and he's like super cute? Like, I want to be honest, Greg. These
Yes.
alien babies, they're not ugly. They're like little cute little things. Like I get why they're so attached to them. I mean, I wouldn't like go on murdering these little babies. Like, come on, like give them a chance. Except for the ones that immediately try to murder you. That's a different story, obviously. But this whole sequence,
the tentacles
like that's a whole different vibe right there. But this was a lot of fun to see. I love that they're on the set of the moon landing. It looked out of this world because the whole thing is out of this world, right? So it was like perfectly fitting to do that.
Two men giving birth through C-section on the set of the moon landing in Area 51 to an alien baby, and the alien baby eats them.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right, Greg, that leaves us with one more episode of season 10 left over. The finale is called The Future Perfect. And we get some references to Valiant Thor talking about the perfect hybrid will be born in 2021, which is where present-day American Horror Story is. So,
okay.
I don't know. Are you leaning towards one of these Ivy Leaguers are going to have the perfect kid? Is that what we're thinking this perfect hybrid will? Because it's been decades and there's no perfect hybrids yet.
Yeah, or Calico. That's the only people we got left that would make sense. But who knows? Same time, I'm like, Kit Walker probably not showing up. I've taken that. That's out of the equation now. I don't think we're gonna get that kind of cameo. Also, I wonder what the connection's gonna be, if there is any, to Part 1, Red Tide. It should be fun. I'm loving where they're going here. I love all of the black and white flashback footage. Amazing. Present day stuff, it caught up in the last few episodes because of the conspiracy theories, and they were keeping them going, especially the moon landing stuff, and of course the baby, your alien tentacle baby scene. I'm all here for that.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I think this next episode is gonna be a lot of fun and probably just as wild as what we've seen so far. But my one question would be, if there was a connection to Red Tide, the baby that might be suggested is the one that we see at the end of Red Tide. Of course, Doris and Harry's son that was born in 2021. We don't know, Doris's pregnancy, what exactly happened there. It would be a fun tie-in if they do reveal something that we didn't know about Doris or Harry. And basically show, this is the perfect hybrid, and guess what? This hybrid is also with the chemist, and that might be a fun little tie-in if we wanted to get a Red Tide Death Valley crossover.
I can see that, but that also seems like a lot of work for them to tie that in with, I don't know, in like 45 to 50 minutes. I'm keeping my expectations low for whatever this connection will be. This also could still be a wild and crazy script from one of the characters from Part 1. I just still keeping that open, but I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a big one. We'll see.
I think that's a smart move, Greg. Keep the expectations low, because then we want to be surprised and excited for what we see next week. Guys, we'll be back here, obviously, next week for the season finale breakdown. Thank you guys each and every week for all the support and the love. Hit us up in the comments, anything we missed. We will see you next week.